All right, welcome back to the channel. I'm here with the great and powerful Oz from the land of Upper Deck, Billy Celio. I gave him the moniker, so but Billy and I were chatting before I hit record. Obviously, we've had a couple of conversations on this channel and a couple of conversations on my other channel. I actually had a conversation with some gentlemen, so I will promote that once I get a chance. Like I said, I might have given them the impression that Billy controls everything and that anything is wrong with the AEW license is completely his doing. I might have. Billy, how are you?
I'm upset with myself right now because I just realized you see the shades, but there's some curtains. It would have been funny if, as soon as you said that, I came out from behind the curtains to introduce myself.
This was a moment.
Do it, or did you just watch Wicked Part 2? Is that it's fresh on your mind?
Well, no, well, especially my look. That reference is always there, Billy, and the reason I like that reference is because the tone of the conversation. Like I said, I will share it and promote it once I get a chance. So we'll talk about it at that point. But I recorded it earlier today, and so if anybody sees that one, I'm wearing the exact same thing because it was just like an hour and a half ago. But regardless, the thing is that in the course of the conversation, though, it was good feedback both ways. I was talking with the gentleman and getting a little bit of information and kind of, but as he's asking the questions, it also then leads me down thinking about, yes, I think it might be time to refresh on a couple things. So the focus here is I want to talk about the brand new SP game used for AEW because now we've had a couple of weeks that it's been out. I've opened a couple of boxes. I've got another box on the way. So here's a spoiler for you. For the most part, I like it. The first two boxes that I pulled were not the most amazing boxes in the world, but they were far from the worst boxes. Black Diamond. They were far from the worst boxes that I've opened on this channel. So, I've definitely seen worse. And but at the price point, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. The price point relative to the cards, the quality, kind of the design of the different things. I was showing Billy that I got one of the Jamie Haters here, the magenta out of 10. I think there's some nice looking cards. I like them. I don't do all the base sets anymore, but honestly, I probably kind of want to do a base set of this one. I like it. We're going to teach Billy what the meaning of rookies is. We need to have a discussion together as a people of what a rookie is.
Yeah.
Shibata is not a rookie. Mercedes
No.
not a rookie.
Yeah.
I just like that. I just like that it was included in there, and it made me so happy. I was like, yes. And I think Copeland is it. I think Cope is in the authentic rookies, isn't he?
Yeah. So we can talk about that, but there might be in the future a different approach
Mm-hmm.
because we do listen.
Yeah.
Um, there's two ways you can look at it. There's a way where you can say, well, it's the rookie, it's the AEW, and we've had the conversation where it's like, well, then just put first AEW card on it or something like that.
Yeah.
But there is a rookie subset. It's not a first card subset in SP Game Used. And then there's also the thought process. Well, have they been wrestling for a while? Then they're not rookies. And I think we're going to be leaning towards more of the if younger talent as rookies as opposed to Mercedes Monet as a rookie or whatnot. So like the Harley Cameron, that's a good that's worthy of an authentic rookie.
Yeah, and
But
I think the card looks not. And by the way, the design on the card. We'll talk about a little bit more about the design in a minute. I actually think the design of the subset looks good. I like the design. I'll tease about the naming of it because I know what a rookie is, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I do think like a Harley Cameron. Sure, Harley Cameron. I'm more inclined. It's a little bit makes a little more sense. Even a Sky Blue, even though she's been for a couple of years, somebody like that is a little closer to it. I would look at certain. Billy Starks is to me is like an ideal candidate for something like that. That would be like a really good choice.
We'll be focusing in all of our sets, kind of treating it more like younger stars than
Yeah.
than actual if they're going to have the rookie call out. So
Mhm.
yeah, it took again, it was like, do you put first card, you put rookie card, and we stayed away from both initially, and then once we started putting rookie context in there, it's like, okay, well, they're new to AEW, so that's kind of how we labeled it. And some people were fine with it, and some people named Dr. Carlos was not. And this is the pull and power you have, Carlos, I guess, is we're changing our ways just because of you.
Maybe the real secret is that I was the great and powerful Oz all along. Maybe I was actually the great and powerful Oz, but who knows? Anyway, I thought I would start off with that because part of the conversation I had was that no, you guys do hear feedback, you do hear commentary, we joke about it and everything, and but I said uh, it's not just myself. Billy and I do get a chance to chat a fair bit, and Billy is a collector. We'll touch on that in a minute as well. That also plays into the thought process behind a lot of the stuff. But the reality is, no, they do receive the feedback. Now, that also involves a lot of people screaming and yelling. We did have a little bit of fun in that other conversation because at the National, they had like one of the panels. And one of the panels, one of the gentlemen that was part of that there, had some very harsh critiques. They were not men of peace like myself, Billy, in terms of, but it came out of frustration. The thing is, I heard it and I understood it. It came out of frustration because at that time you're looking at this potential. You've got the second company. There's a lot of excitement, especially in the initial. We were talking about that before we hit record. The initial product, the first year flagship that came out, there was a lot of initial excitement because this is something brand new. We've had WB cards for years. We've had all these different things. This is a new property that came out, and then it came out of the blocks. And the hype cycle at that moment, if you remember where 2021 in that time range was, everything was inflated. The problem is, you're taking a first year product of a secondary company that just is getting its legs and it's starting to get some momentum, but this is a brand new product, but it's a flagship release. If you're a hockey card collector, you kind of know what that entails. And a flagship release in hockey has Young Guns. Usually Young Guns is a big piece of the puzzle that you have. In the wrestling thing, you don't have that. So you take that out, and then you don't have an autograph per box, which we've talked about, which we'll talk about. SB Game Use actually plays into that well. It actually humors it. The irony here is that if you remember what the price point was in that flagship set, this SB Game Used product, I'll just speak in Canadian dollars, but in American dollars, you can do the same thing if you want. What the box prices were going for initially, this SB Game Used is about half the price.
Yeah.
And if you think about what's in this box, and you're getting the one autograph per pack in this box versus what you were getting in that other one, you're sitting there like, oh, and that it's perception versus the price point. That's what something we were chatting about just before we record. It's not just what you put in the box; it's what's the price of the box. If that same product had come out and the price point had been, scaled down a little bit closer to where you expect, then I think people's expectations would have been in a good spot. And I actually think they would have received it much better.
Yeah. And like you said about the rookies and stuff like that, I think if we would have gone the route of doing some sort of rookie, looking back, I can admit maybe some mistakes. I think if you would have gone back, because they did a ranking of top wrestling sets in one of the magazines, and I was shocked to see. I think that first series was like in the top 10, and I couldn't believe it because I was just like, well, it was a good attempt. I don't know if it was necessarily the strongest attempt that we've made in building sets, but they were like, well, it's MJF's first card, it's Orange Cassidy's first cards, and when they say first cards, they're talking, mainstream stuff, because as we know, they did have the all-in sets that many perceive as the, rookie cards for some of those guys. But, if we did have like an MJF Young Gun in that set, that might have been, added value to those boxes for sure. And then the consumer that might not necessarily know about those indie sets, will come and be like, oh, well, I want the MJF rookie. And the MJF rookie was still there. We didn't limit it like we do Young Guns, and we didn't not call it out on the card. So, not to say that that price still was a little high, because it definitely was. But I think we probably could have added more value if we made some different decisions on how we presented those cards.
Absolutely. So we're going to come back around to that, because I do want to touch on a couple of the themes you hit on, because I think this is a valid conversation. But let's talk about the new one. Like I said, overall, I think the new one is kind of working out pretty well. I like a lot of the cards that are in it. Like right from the base set on, I think some of them look interesting. I showed one of the cards, but then one of the other ones is like the Ring Blitz. So right here, I got a couple of Jamie Hayter ones. This is kind of my secondary PC. Britt Baker's my main one. I've got a handful of those so far, but I've got a bunch that I've been chasing after. And so it's been good. But it's the chicken or the egg thing I was talking about earlier. I like opening the boxes because I like to have a couple on the channel. It's fun to do. I don't mind a little gamble. You got to understand there's a gambling element to it. But at the same time, though, like I've enjoyed how a lot of these singles look. I think conceptually a lot of them work. It's not a flawless set. There's no such thing. There's a brand flawless, but there's no flawless set. There's always a critique you can give. But I think overall, I'm happy with the general toner. And for Billy, this is high praise for me, because Billy's not used to actually me being this nice with one of his sets. I didn't see any food related items, so we're already off. We're off to a good start. No food based inserts, so we're going. No ice cream, no t-shirts, questions. But at the same time, though, I think the price point makes a little bit more sense for this one. the price point relative to what you're getting out of it. You are getting the autograph in there, so that's nice. Like even the base autographs have like a nice blue tint to them. Like they actually look pretty decent. I think that's pretty solid. So that's why I say like overall, I'm pretty happy with it, and it's brand new. So here in the boxes I pulled, so to give you an example of like two parallels. So you got the red for red velvet, thematically appropriate, but then you got the blue autograph there with a blue pen. So I think that actually looks pretty good. Like in terms of visually, it's a good combination. It works well, and it'll give people something to chase. So this one is kind of taking a lot of the lessons though. You know, this is a Spectrum stumbled horrifically and collapsed on itself so that Black Diamond could fall down a flight of stairs so that SP Game Use could run Billy.
Wow. That like
look, the praise could
good, and then you're just like, wait, no, I gotta ground him here for a second.
Billy, you were getting so much praise. I thought your head was going to explode. I needed to settle us back down.
Yeah, the redness has nothing to do with exploding. By the way, I got some mood lighting. I'm at a friend's house. I'm dog sitting, so if you guys do hear dogs barking, you know they probably want food or treats. Or I shouldn't say that word too loud; they hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also build the SP Game Use hockey sets. So I'm very familiar with the brand. And that was one of the things. It's just like we knew we wanted to do it. Like we have a lot of really cool memorabilia. And we knew we wanted to do a Game Use set of some sort. And we were like, do we mess with the name? Because they don't play games in wrestling. But you know, we wanted to stick with the branding. So it's SP Game Used. But there were a lot of things that I do and I liked about like building that set that I took from hockey to AEW. And then there's other things that I just wanted to do because of the memorabilia that we had and come up with inserts. As for the design that you're mentioning, it's funny because we have the same guy that's been doing hockey for a while. And so when I saw the base design, I was actually shocked. I was like, this looks a little different than a regular SP Game Use. There's a lot more stuff going on, and I loved it. I'm like, this looks like an AEW card. And so I give examples in my brief, like, okay, here's some old designs and stuff. You know, we don't want it to venture far off from what people expect a SP Game Use set to look like. That being said, it shouldn't look like hockey, but it should look like SP Game Use. And I think they did an amazing job of doing that. And then, like I said, we were able to use some regular inserts and iconic inserts from Game Used and kind of switched it around. Like we have the Supreme swatches, which, are like patch cards. And I'm like, well, we've got some other stuff that's cool that we can, and Supreme swatches are low numbered cards because we use, Game Used patch for those. And so I'm like, well, what kind of memorabilia do we have that I'm not necessarily going to be, running up, but it's something cool that people would want. And so the turnbuckles and the tables I thought were real appropriate for that design. But every pay-per-view, like we get like a wish list of stuff that, hey, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And then they're like, well, then how are we going to get it to you? Because I think one of the things, I don't think I'll get in trouble for saying this. One of the things they asked us, do we want that thing that Chris Statlander came out of in Full Gear?
Like the space shuttle, like that piece
of you guys can have that if you want it. And I'm like, yes. And they're like, Billy, how are we shipping that? I'm like, just rip a piece of it off. Like, it's still part of the piece. Like, they're not going to use it again. Just give it to us. Yeah. I don't know if they did it or not. I didn't get a response after my response of just rip a piece of it off. But like, that's the sort of stuff that we can get. And you're not going to see that sort of stuff in a flagship set. You're not going to see that stuff in a SP signature set. So Game Use was perfect, almost perfect enough that, I can see it coming back in the future because I think it, like when you got that insert, no disqualifications, you can throw anything in there. And that was the whole purpose of that. Like the one thing, you got to worry about how many designs you have these guys make. Like you can't have a set and there's like 60 designs because I want a specific design for a ladder or a kendo stick. And I did have a ladder one, but you have a specific thing for a table, specifics. Like, okay, let's just throw that all in one and let's just call it no disqualifications because these are all weapons and items that they use in events. So
So, so
That's
back
kind
in
of
the day, though, Billy, I've seen, there are companies out there that have used like a base card design, and then they cut out a piece, and then that's the memorabilia part, and then they put a sticker on it, Spectrum, and then you basically see the same picture over and over and over and
Mhm,
over.
mhm. Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. I don't know what company would have done something like that, but I've seen stuff like that before.
Probably a company that needed to figure out how to save money for making all those thick cards,
Mhm.
and came up with a way of just not using a whole bunch of images on those
Mhm.
cards.
And you didn't, and you didn't. That right there, that's my what's it called? What's the one that you always get flack for in the hockey side? It was the composite.
Chemical compositions.
Yeah, for me, that's my chemical compositions.
Yeah.
Whenever I'll bring that one up, but go ahead. But you're right. I think that's why I said, look, I gave him plenty of praise at the beginning before I had some fun with the other part. But the thing
You
is
did
that
that all off air when you were
I
talking to me.
that's even then I gave you flack off here too. But the thing is that's why I said I actually think the design on a lot of these actually worked out pretty well. The no disqualification thing makes total sense. The template itself, you can make slight tweak, but no disqualification is open ended. It doesn't force you into a corner. You can have the coffin piece, you can have the Jeff Jarrett guitar piece, you can have all those, and they're all weapons. It fits the kendo stick. It's all weapons. You can put it in there and it's fine.
Yeah, and one thing I will say, and I try to give these guys as much praise as possible, because when we first started the AEW sets, I can honestly say, like, maybe not everybody in the office was necessarily familiar with AEW
Mhm.
or followed it, and kind of had to do a quick crash course lesson of AEW and start making sets for it. Um, Not me included, but other
Mhm.
departments. And so some of those departments, now we have people that specifically work on AEW. The guy doing the checklist is like, he comes to when we do like fan fest and stuff, he'll come to the fan fest with us.
Mhm.
Our project manager, the person that kind of like sees the product through, is a huge AEW fan. And then our brand manager, like, his main focus is AEW. Our photo team, okay, now we're starting to get better. Like, you and your Jamie Hayter, like, I've told the
Mhm.
story a million times. Jamie literally came up to me at one of the fan fests, and just like, who's picking these pictures of me? Because
Mhm.
they are a little non-eye appealing. And so I got a dog barking. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I
Yeah, go
gotta
ahead.
put him on a
No, go
couch.
ahead.
A few moments later.
Well, in reality, I can do the SpongeBob a few moments later.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I'd like.
I got you. I got Billy. I got you. Don't even worry about it. Jamie Hayter was displeased with your picture the same
Oh,
way we all were
yeah.
about Spectrum.
I
Go
knew
on.
exactly what she was going to say too.
Mhm.
So we've got, long story short, we've got a team, group of people that are focused on AEW and care. And like, the one thing you were talking about, the no disqualifications,
Mhm.
like, those are photo matched too. Like, the guitar that he's using and the coffin that was used, like, those are actually even photo matched from the specific events. Like, and then the
Nice.
banner year, the pictures are from the event that the banners are from. Like, there's a lot more attention to detail that the whole team is using on these cards. And I think this set specifically, you're seeing uh the amount of detail that we put into it.
Mhm. I think that's it. So you're making an important point that I think would be worthwhile mentioning here. What you were discussing, though, is you were discussing that at the beginning, you guys were kind of working out the kinks because it was a brand new license for you. The first flagship one was a different design. It wasn't just borrowing the hockey design and just transferring it over and putting wrestlers on it. It was basically it was a reasonably effective base set design. I didn't mind it, but then there were the subsets and things, and like the kinks were being worked out. You're almost like trying to build something from scratch with components, taking a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But one of the things though that you're mentioning though is that they're starting to get more people who are more familiar with kind of wrestling and the product, and that becomes reflective. Now the problem is, and this is something that I mentioned in that other conversation, and maybe you can shed a little light on that might be worthwhile. There is a long lag time. So let's say, for example, as the Great and Powerful Oz, the real one, not just a subheading, Billy says, Carlos, what must we do? And I say, we must do this, and I give you the list. Even if you say yes right away, and then you scurry off, what is the turnaround time? So let's say, for example, we get the feedback. We agree. We all say, you know what? That's actually a really good point. We should totally do that. It won't be reflected in this upcoming release. There's a lag time. Like even if everything was perfect and it went through flying colors and everybody stamped it and it signed off, we still probably wouldn't see it for like a year, maybe a little more.
Yeah, it takes about a year to build a product. And
Yeah.
I think we were able, because it wasn't on a base set form. If you notice, Megan Bain isn't in the base set.
Yep.
She's in a memorabilia set because that form was done later.
So I
And
did
so
actually
we were
show
able
that when I was doing the little slideshow real quick. I'll just share it again. So this one was actually one that I didn't until I saw the slideshow when I was doing my recap of the checklist, and I'll get back to that in a moment. I actually didn't realize she was in there because I didn't see her in the base set, but then I saw this card and I was like, wait, oh, let me double check. So you did sneak a Megan Bain card in there, which is, I think it'll be a fun chase for some folks.
Yeah, we snuck a few people. You know what's funny is before the set came out, because Ty was had the baby and wasn't part of the wrestling, so they told us like, hey, take her off for a while because she's not going to be wrestling. And I'm sitting there and I follow on social media and stuff. I'm like, I think she's coming back soon. And I said, put her in the set. And they're like, well, I go, by the time this set comes out, yeah, this card came out. I got it offered to me. I got that card offered to me and I declined and then someone bought it. So it's my loss. Guy got a good deal and the guy selling it, I think, got a good price. So thanks for rubbing salt on the wound there.
I would never do such a thing. I'm a man of peace.
But I said, she's coming back. Like, just put her in the set. And they did. And then, of course, she came back and then the set comes out. I'm like, and my project manager's like, you were right. I'm like, well, even if I wasn't right, I still wanted her in the set because I hadn't gotten collect anything in a while. But I already forgot the question. But
so really, what I was getting at was the lag. A lot of people don't understand the lag time. The lag time is a bit of an issue at a really high level. At a really high level, so you don't have to go into specific detail. But can you give kind of a context of why the lag time is such? Why does it take that time?
Yeah. So like we have a calendar of when stuff is due. So I'll work on a set. It usually takes a few weeks to build the set, to get it through costing, to hit a specific margin, to get it approved, to write a brief. And then I have a big meeting and say, okay, I have all the departments in there. Coordinator, you're the checklist guy. You know everybody. Put these type of wrestlers in these specific inserts and base set. Legal team, make sure all the insert names that I have that we're able to use, like ice cream or something like that. And purchasing person, I want this type of paper, so you're gonna have to get some of this. Brand manager, make sure AEW's happy, like all these people. And so we go over the brief form by form, and then the designers start working on it, and I'll give design direction too. Sometimes my design direction is stick figures. Other times it's, hey, you guys are getting paid to design cards. This is kind of the concept. Do what you do. Other times I'm very specific. I'm like, I want it to look like this card that we previously made. So that just kind of varies. So they start working on the designs, and there's design process. And then we have meetings about the designs and the people, the pre-press department. Can we do this? While this is going on, photo team starting to pick images. You got to make a checklist too. So then you make a checklist. So it takes time for the guys to make the checklist because they have to see what we have in inventory and all that stuff. And they have other stuff going on too. It's not like drop everything. AEW has a set that we're building, so I must work on this immediately. They have a time in the calendar, whether it be a month or two after it's briefed, that they have to have the checklist done. Once the checklists are done, then the photo department needs to pick photos. Then the photos picked needs to go through color correction and all other stuff. Like AEW doesn't just give us pristine images and we don't have to fix it. There could be logos, ads, people with sign, like all that stuff that might need to be adjusted. So there's that aspect of it. During that time, we're fine-tuning the designs, and then they need to make layouts of all the designs of how they're going to fall on the forms and stuff like that, because basically you make big forms and then they go to the vendor and they're cut. Then you need to, get make sure everything's purchased. And sometimes they'll sit there and say, hey, it's going to take like 2 to 3 months to get this amount of paper of this, that stuff could take time. If you're making manufactured patches like they did in Black Diamond, like that takes time, like all these other components. And then finally, after months and months, Then we give all the information, like the cards have the autographs. Like we have some hard sign, but like the labels, we have to get the autographs. And there's only like, we don't just follow the buses everywhere they go and just continually get autographs. Like we have a couple specific events that we get autographs at. So then we'll do signings with the wrestlers, and that takes time. And then getting the memorabilia takes time. Like all this stuff takes time. And then finally the vendor will get it. And we do this, we call it a pre-launch. And then we give directions on, okay, this is where the card should fall in the boxes. Please make sure you mix the boxes so people can't tell. Every third pack from the left is where the hit is. And every second box on the right is where the case, like we're giving them all these directions. And I want this many of this type of card and this many of this type of card. And we literally give a graph of what each box should look like in each case. Breathe, Billy. And then it takes the vendor some time, because some of this stuff is sorting, and they literally have people. You won't, like, I wish people could see this. There are people at these vendors that are literally just like going around and sorting the cards. So like, not, you don't want every single autograph, because the way that they're stacked, here's all the autographs of MJF. And then you don't want like 6 cases in a row having the same case hit. They literally go through manually and do that.
Yeah.
So
you're saying, so real quick, you're saying for this one, for this particular style of product, because some of them have that and some of them don't. So you're saying this one's closer to a hand pack, kind of specifically lining it,
mixing.
or is it through the machine?
Mix. It's still machine,
okay.
but
Yeah,
we'll give
so
direction. Mix and combine these cards to fall one per. And a lot of the times that mixing, people think it like there's a card shuffler or something. No, it's literally manual people going around a circle with stacks of cards, like manually mixing them and putting them into sleeves. And then the sleeves go into the feeder.
Okay.
So that process usually takes, from us pre-launching it to it getting out to the people, that can take anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks. So there's a whole month or two just on the back end, and then shipping and stuff. If this is printed in Italy, if this is printed in Canada or something, that takes time. So yeah, I remember back in the day, a sticker product, a label like stickers without hard sign, that could take maybe 11 months. Since then, the process has actually increased to about 12 months, and anything hard sign probably takes between 13 to 16 months. So what's frustrating about that is sometimes you're building a product without even knowing how the previous year's product comes out. So like some of the mistakes that could have been made in a previous year, we don't even know if they're mistakes yet or not. So that's why it takes actual time for us to adapt and change to stuff that we know might work, because we haven't even seen the previous year's product come out yet.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of an important piece to throw in there, because that's some insight that kind of gives a little bit of a window into that, and that's a factor. That's why I said, like, that's why I used the analogy at the beginning of that question. I just said, like, even if we agree, even if we come up with, hey, we can fix this, we make this adjustment, we do this, and we all agree, and everybody's like, brilliant idea, do it. It's still lag time between the time you actually see it in practice and actually see it in the boxes themselves, and you see that change.
Yeah, and occasionally we can sit there and say, whoa, like we need to change this, but like once the ball's moving, they don't necessarily always stop the presses and change everything.
So let me ask you 1 or 2 more questions about SP Game Used, and then I'll touch on 1 or 2 thoughts that kind of play off a couple of the things we talked about. Like I said already, I like the set. I think conceptually it worked out. I think the box price is appropriate, especially given. This is kind of a separate question to it, but also tied to it as well. A lot of these sets, and this is kind of my thought process on it, I think EPAC serves a viable purpose for a lot of these sets, but one of the things that I've thought of, and this is just me, is that some sets I would almost like to see, like, look, I would almost be okay with having a set that's an EPAC exclusive. So I'll use the hockey analogy, like almost like a Fleer Ultra. Like the Fleer Ultra example in hockey, there's a set there that is an EPAC set. Basically, you can go in, get the cards there. You still get physical cards, but it's a product that's designed there. And, you could almost get away with this in AEW, not necessarily calling it Fleer Ultra, or maybe you do call it Fleer Ultra. And it would be the more picture version of the set, kind of focusing on the full bleed images and that kind of thing. But having some of the sets that are the physical boxes being just the physical boxes. Because right now, as it is today, and we've talked about this before, there's a mix. Some cards are allocated towards EPAC, some cards are allocated towards physical boxes, which is fine. But in practice, though, it means that there's going to be some stuff that are going to be chases and hits and things that people like myself would want that isn't going to show up until the EPAC thing. And so here is my statement, and then you, Billy, can give your commentary on this. My statement is, I understand the concept, but I think your hype cycle, your initial excitement over a product is during that first release. And then whatever window that happens and people pull some cards and maybe it gets a little momentum, and that's always tricky, but that's the moment to seize it. By the time the EPAC release comes out, you don't really get a second wave of hype. You do get the people that are chasing the accomplishment. You get the singles collectors like me who are like, okay, EPAC time. I'm going to finally get some of these cards I've been looking for. They're about to show up. This is good. But it's not going to be the same as the initial wave of excitement when the product first comes out. And it's like, oh man, what are we going to pull? Well, hey, you got the 1 of 1, all that stuff. You don't completely get the second wave. So it's like, you almost want to have some products where like, just let the first wave be the wave and let people collect the singles and let the boxes get open and be done with it.
I understand what you're saying, and there's a lot of components to I don't want to say contradict, but to kind of explain the reasoning and stuff. One, shops got to buy it. Shops have to take the risk and purchase it and say, I think there's going to be some wrestling fans that want this, because a lot of times we build product to pre-orders on what is the shops and everything wanting. Because we don't want the shops to get stuck with it. We don't want to get stuck with it. So we try to, I don't want to say like build the order, but it's kind of the process is, we put out what we feel. We don't want to make way too much. We don't want to make way too little. So if the case is to like let everybody get it that first time, then more shops need to buy it. To be completely honest with you, because we're not necessarily seeing the number of orders and the volume of orders to make that happen. The one thing I'll say about EPAC, I have a couple shops by me, but not a lot of them carry AEW product. So I buy a lot of my AEW cards off of eBay, ComC, and EPAC.
Sure.
And I buy a lot of it. And so that second wave, I think you understated it a little bit, because I do think there's a second wave of people that get excited about the product when it does come on EPAC. But I think that excitement is because they can't get it at the shops because the shops haven't ordered enough of it, or because we'll be more than happy to make to the amount that the shops order. So that being said, I think EPAC, like Jason Mashra, our president, always tells the story of when he went to college, he had to drive 45 miles to the closest shop. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I think a lot more shops have opened up, but it's still like, I like the ability to be on my phone. I'll wake up, let's buy a pack of 2024 AEW. And I do that all the time. So to have it available on EPAC is great. Yes, I'm still waiting to find some high gloss and green PMGs that haven't shown up on the secondary market because they're probably sitting on EPAC. And yes, that's frustrating. And yes, I check for that sort of stuff all the time. But I would rather have that and still have it available to me all the time at any time than to necessarily try to find that one shop that has it or have to overpay for shipping and all that other stuff. Yes, I still have to pay shipping in ComC and EPAC or whatever, but that I'm getting the cards that I want though when I buy on EPAC and when I buy on ComC. So that's kind of my argument to why it's on EPAC. I will say where I think we can improve and where I think it might help. I don't think we have a big enough retail presence. In all honesty, I think blasters, like that's what I used to buy when I would go to I was gonna say Myers, but not everyone knows what Myers are. When you go to Target or Walmart.
Well, I already told you, Billy. I have told you numerous times that I expected you to mule the retail. I'm waiting for those blaster boxes, and you have yet to walk them over the board.
And I agree with you. I think there's room to grow in retail, and I think I think if we can grow in retail, we can add more content to retail, and I think that's definitely a place. Problem with retail is, you got to discount those boxes a lot for the retailers, and that gets that it's tough to add content. But I think we made the retail where you get a numbered card in every retail tin or tin hockey there, sorry, retail box. So you're getting a hit in every box.
Sure.
And it's an exclusive hit to retail. So the only way you can get those purple parallels is through retail. And I have to go on eBay. I have to go on eBay and ComC to find those cards, because unfortunately I don't find enough AEW blasters at my local Walmarts. So I can see us growing retail. I'm glad the reception that SP Game Use has gotten, because I think some shops are going to start looking at it like, hey, maybe we should have gotten more of this, because our breakers already ripped like 4 or 5 cases of this on their site. And, I wish we would have had more. That's what I want these shops to start saying. I wish we would have had more, and then they'd start ordering more, and then we can, build more. And I've told you this before. If we have larger volumes, I can do more stuff. I can build cooler things. I can add more content. It's not like people are like, oh, they're just going to build more, and then stuff's not going to be worth anything. My thought process is, if I have more to spend on building, I'm going to spend it, and I'm going to make cooler stuff. So there's going to be even more content, more cool stuff to put into these sets. So. And that's one thing EPAC does allow us to do, is now we have a whole nother chunk of volume and revenue for building this set, that I'm able to add more content to the sets because of it.
Sure. Now let me kind of ask a question though, and this will actually tie me into talking about the marketing and kind of some of the stuff you alluded to, because we can touch on that. But let me play devil's advocate for a second. You gave the case for EPAC, so completely fair. Let me ask a devil's advocate question here, because it can cut both ways. You're right. If you don't have access to the boxes and everything, it provides a way to get it accessibly. Now, one of the challenges is that as a result of the way that EPAC is designed, you don't want to undercut the people that are carrying it. So you got to make sure. So the problem is the price point stays at a certain level even after the retail starts adjusting, or the shops start adjusting price. So then I can go get a box at the shop. But here's a devil's advocate piece where it might work against you. Yes, there is stuff there. Yes, it provides an access point. But the other side of it is, if you're a box breaker or a person who would buy a couple boxes, the irony, you said that they would be nice if more get ordered and all that. Well, it's a chicken or the egg situation. If the buyers in turn say, oh, I'm going to hold off on buying the boxes, I'll just wait until the EPAC, then that actually prevents them from buying the boxes in the first wave, so it doesn't get enough sold. So then the retailer says, oh, well, then I guess I should order less. It kind of is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It almost pushes more of the traffic towards the EPAC singles, because you're waiting for those folks to open them up, chase their achievements, but then the singles become available. So then if I'm the singles buyer, yeah, I open some boxes, but if I'm the singles buyer, I could be like, those green PMGs and all that, I haven't found any of the green PMGs for Brit that I'm collecting. So when EPAC shows up, magically there they are. There's the green PMGs I was waiting for, because now you opened up enough of it over there. But in the physical boxes, there should be some, but I haven't seen them yet.
Well, I understand what you're saying, because, as I said,
it's a psychology thing. I'm just asking the question from the psychology perspective.
I buy a lot of my stuff on EPAC, and yes, you can find some deals after the fact when EPAC is released. It's well known among the heavy collectors of AEW, but there is, people want it when it comes out too, and so they're gonna want those cards as soon as they can get them. And like you said, we don't undercut the shops. That's one thing about EPAC is, if you want it at a better price, you need to go to your distributor, or like a Dave and Adams, or you need to go to your card shops, or Steel City. Those type of places will sell it to you much cheaper than what we sell on EPAC. And you get the cards physically, which is really cool too. That's the thing, is you don't get physical base cards on EPAC for the most part. I think you will in SP Game Use, but like our flagship,
I think if it's numbered, I think the rules, if they're numbered, generally they're good. Like it just depends on what kind
It
of
varies.
product it is.
It really
Yeah.
varies because
Yeah.
it does cost money to store those cards.
Mhm.
They charge us for that. It cost like there's cost to it, and that's why we have like the rainbow foil stacking and all that, because it's would you rather store 1,000 cards or 100 cards?
Mhm.
We'll store the 100 cards. It's easier for us to do that. So, and cheaper. So that's kind of like, I want the physical cards too. Like
Mhm.
I will go buy some blasters so I can get the physical cards, so I can go get them signed or do whatever. I can't do that anymore. It sucks because I can't mark out like I used to, because I see them and I'm like, oh, I can't. Like I actually went to WrestleCon and got some cards signed and paid, but I wasn't there representing Upper Deck. But I can't do the stuff I used to do, like waiting outside the arenas when they come out and ask for autographs. Those days are done, unfortunately.
For wrestling,
Gotta,
not for other things. For other categories, you can still do that.
exactly for wrestling. We went to what was it, Dynamite 500 or whatever it was in Ontario, California, and Thunder Rosa. Like a bunch of them came out, and my friend's like, "Do you want to get a picture?" And I'm like, "I can't." Like I'm literally going to see her in 2 weeks in Texas at All In. I go, I can't sit here and ask for autographs because it'll look bad. So my friend's got photos with her, and I'm just standing there like, yep. Hey,
You sure? You sure you can't walk over to them with a stack of stickers though? And be like, "Hey, could you just?"
Right, I should. Hey, by the way, you weren't at the signing. No, poor Thunder
There's-
Rosa. She got. I think she signed a bunch of stickers and her cards, and I think we gave her too much to sign because she's like, "Am I done yet?" Because she's watching like everybody else finish before her.
Yeah.
But
I actually have a question. Actually have a question that plays off it. Your answer is fair. I just wanted to play devil's advocate and ask the question. I thought it'd be
I
worthwhile.
think that having the physical base cards is a huge plus. And
Yep.
you want to know what's funny? Look on ComC. This blows my mind. Look on ComC and look how much people are asking for base cards of wrestlers and how much they're asking for the gold parallel, which is like one per pack or flagship. I bet you more times than not, the base card is the price on a base card is more than the price of the gold parallel that comes one per pack.
Yeah.
And
That happens with a lot of the low tier inserts as well, because once the flood comes, once the post EPAC flood bunch of cases get open, because it's certain folks are like opening cases. They're trying to do the achievements, they're chasing all that, but then they've got a bunch of these golds and a bunch of these other stuff, and they're like, look, I'm chasing these achievements, I'm focusing on this, send it over to ComC, boom, just send it down in price.
The physical base cards add value, and I think people buy the hobby boxes when they buy them because the physical base cards. So I think that does help out the first run of stuff. And then, like you said, there are achievements. And one other cool thing that I don't think we mentioned about EPAC, and sorry if I'm going off on this and you have other questions.
That's fine. Go ahead.
There is a community. There's a community of EPAC collectors that do trades, that do whatever. So I buy a box of beautiful card.
And that's from EPAC exclusive. That's an EPAC one.
Yeah. I buy a box of cards on EPAC, and I might only collect specific wrestlers. And there are other people that collect specific wrestlers. I'm sitting there trading my MJFs, my Will Ospreays, my Moxes, all that, and I'm getting my Sky Blues, my Julia Harts, my Ty Mellows, Harley Camerons. And both parties are happy. And you're able to do that on a platform. I'm trading with people. I bought a Mariah May Crimson Parallel yesterday online, and this guy is not like, I had to do I think he was from Taiwan, because I had to do a PayPal, like an exchange on it. But what I'm trying to say is there's people in other countries that on EPAC, I'm sitting there just trading cards that they're thousands and thousands of miles away from me. So it does have that trading community, which is nice, which adds to the importance, I think, of EPAC, is being able to trade and get some of the cards that you want. And the physical aspect of it for physical hobby is you're getting a lot of cards that you can't get on EPAC, being those base cards. And you
Sure.
get it first and you get it cheaper.
Sure. So let me kind of ask you a question that kind of plays off one of the things you said as well. It also plays in the kind of the marketing thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So you talked about, the example with Thunder Rosa signing all the stuff and she's doing it. But here's the question, kind of playing into it. We talked about the promotion of it. I did a video specifically talking about kind of the promotion and, the marketing side of things. And it's tricky because right now you've got a company in AEW that's still trying to find its footing in terms of learning the balance of they are promoting it on the shows. They've got their podcast, and the podcast is sponsored by Upper Deck, and they talk about it there. But it's almost like you're preaching to converted because you're basically showing it to an audience that's already predisposed. That's not a bad thing. But I'm saying as a supplement to it, to your point, you want to bump up numbers, you want to help the sales of it. It's also reaching out to the greater kind of wrestling card community and card collecting community, just in general. But one of the things that comes out of it is the example that you just gave with the Thunder Rosa one. Right there, she's signing that stuff. If it's me, my first thought is, oh, this is a great take a couple pictures. She's signing that stuff. These other folks are signing some stuff. If it's there, especially if it's there well in advance, hey, check it out. Some of your favorites are signing this stuff. This is going to be coming up in an upcoming product. Even if we don't name the product yet, even if we don't say exactly what it is, that right there, you're seeing stuff happening. It's a reminder that there is something down the pipeline, even if you don't know exactly what it is right this minute. Something's happening because, hey, look, Thunder Rosa's signing these things for us.
Yeah, and we had marketing at All In. And we saw a lot of people signing. They had their star cast, I think it was there. And when they decide to release some of that stuff, might be more towards when the specific product that they're signing it for comes out. Do I think we can do more? Yeah, and I think we have a team of people that are heavily invested in doing more. We just have to start. I think you'll see more as time progresses. I think they're more worried about doing it closer to when the products are released. I think you'll see stuff like when SP Signatures comes out. I think you'll see videos of the wrestlers signing those cards. But I think they want it to be more related to when that product is coming out. Like you're going to start seeing videos on the cup for hockey. A lot of this stuff was done months and months ago. But they're going to start I finally saw the video of my hand again sorting the cards of the Cup 99s. I'm like, that's my thumb. But I did that a month ago. So I think they want to relate it to more closer to when the product comes out. Now, being devil's advocate, because I'm sure you might even say that, maybe you'll get more people interested in buying it and pre-ordering it if they saw the stuff ahead of time. And I agree with you there. But I think you're seeing more than what we've done in the past, and I think you'll continue to see more in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. I'm seeing the improvement, but I think part of what led to that original conversation, that episode that I recorded earlier today that I was mentioning earlier, and like I said, I'll include all the information in there, and if by the time this comes out or a little bit later it's there, I'll put a link in the description, and I'll send Billy over to it. That way you can find out how I threw him under a bus, a bullet train, like whatever mode of transportation you got. I think I threw him underneath it, so you'll be able to see for yourself. But anyway, the point though is that one of the frustrations they were expressing specifically, what led to that conversation even happening, is that they were looking at it. They're actually in the wrestling card world. They specifically focus in, and it's the wrestling trading card guys. I've alluded to it, but I'll just let you know now. It's going to be, I just don't know when it's really being released. So that's the only reason I can't be more specific. But I did have a conversation with them.
Plugging yourself while interviewing me. I love it.
Got to do it. Well, this isn't my channel. This is somebody else's channel. But regardless, and of course I'm going to plug. Listen, Billy, your entire conversation is an Upper Deck plug. So you got that. I can have one. But anyway, the point is that they keep a website where they do checklists of all different wrestling cards from all promotions and all brands and everything, which is great. That's a nice broad thing to focus on. And they talk about news and they talk about all these different things, which is good. So that's kind of your wrestling card media, so to speak, enthusiasts who are discussing it and talking about it, which is good. This is your target audience. These are amongst the people that you want to get eyeballs on. Their frustration was they didn't realize Metal Universe had come out. Now, obviously, I've done my videos. I did the kind of preview. When the original preview happens, I did a video on that. When the checklist came out, I did. They hadn't seen my stuff, which is fine. That's okay. But the problem is there just aren't enough of us in the space to get the word out. So Billy, that's where I can understand the frustration, because they're trying to keep tabs, but if they're just not seeing it, it's just not in the right places to get in front of the mind of people who are actively looking for it. Imagine the people who aren't actively looking for it, who maybe could be your future customers to it if they could see it. It just means there just isn't enough. It's just not in front of enough eyeballs in the right places.
So what you're saying is we both need to be doing a little more marketing for ourselves. If they haven't heard of you yet, I'm just joking.
Well, I fixed that problem. I have resolved this issue. I have taken action. I've resolved this problem. But you get my point, though. You understand my general point.
I will go on any podcast and talk wrestling for hours upon hours. Also, and But that being said, no, I agree. I'm a marketing and I'm an advertising and public relations major. I'm not marketing. Marketing was in School of Business. Advertising and public relations was School of Com. I started in marketing, and what I thought was marketing was actually advertising. That being said, I took a lot of those classes. There was only like a couple different like to be in one or the other. There was only actually a few different classes you had to take. And I took accounting twice during when I was playing soccer, and I wasn't as focused. And I'm like, I got to stay away from this accounting stuff. Let's do the stuff I really want to do. And so I went from the School of Business to the School of Comms. And anyone that knows, School of Com is a little easier than the School of Business, that's for sure. That being said, yes, I'm aware that I think we can do a better job of doing it, and I think we are starting to do that, and we have people that are interested in doing that, and it takes some time. It takes a few meetings, and we need to see where we need to focus, and those steps are in place. And I'm excited with what our marketing team did an amazing job with the fork incident, which is in the set, and promoting that, and they were excited about it, and they're ready to do more. Like I said, maybe it has to do something with timing, and like now we need to focus on timing, and now we need to focus on like who we're marketing to, and they're gonna get it, and I have faith in them getting it, and I think you'll see an improvement in the next year on who we're getting that out to. I'm really excited about our CDD conference that's coming up, because I can't wait to talk wrestling cards with some of these people. These guys know hockey cards. The hockey shops, they know hockey shops. They're excited to see some of this new stuff that's coming out. They're excited to see the Young Gun checklist for Series 2, all that stuff. That's great. That's every year we talk about that. I want to talk AEW with a lot of these people. I want to talk with the guys that are there that are AEW shops, or the guys, our diamond dealers that can get this product that are you getting enough of it? That I want to grow that. I want to talk to them about that. And I'll be the one up on the stage. Last year, I think I tried to get the yes chant going during our CDD conference. I got a few people that knew what they were doing, but I was a little disappointed because I got them saying yes, but I wanted the hand motion too. I didn't get the hand motion. And so I am very enthusiastic about it, and we'll be talking a lot of AEW with these people.
Sure. Now, kind of a side question to that same vein, is that obviously we're talking about, you're drumming up some enthusiasm talking about it. And as you said, I started with the Great and Powerful Laws because it was just amusing to me. The idea is like, well, I don't think Billy's ever turned down an invitation. I think within reason, if you got a bar mitzvah somewhere, the man will be there to talk about cards. Like, it's not a problem if that's what you want. But that said, though, you're one person. The expectations, other than the fact you run the entire Upper Deck and everything that ever goes wrong was directly by your hand because you signed off on it personally. Aside from that, you're one person. So the reality is, though, but we've discussed already in the past, is that now there are a few more of your counterparts that are getting their hands, wet with the product a little bit. So going forward, this is, I think, one of the key pieces that they were kind of focusing on as well, is that at places like the National, the Expo, of course, some of the bigger shows where Upper Deck has a presence. The question comes down to is, when you think about it this way, when you go in and look at the Upper Deck booth, it's got this large, just using the Expo example, it's got this big area, it's got, this section, there are giveaways, there's all this stuff happening. But if I'm looking around, how much of the AEW do I see? Do I see it up on the posters? Do I see, or can I talk to somebody about it who will at least be able to engage me? Like, if I see you, I know we can have a conversation about it. There are a few of the guys who I think are starting to get their feet wet in this a little bit. Maybe they can talk about it. But right now, I think one of the frustrations, and just passing along what I saw, is that for the National, Upper Deck, of course, has a presence as well. But if you want to talk about, the wrestling cards, the guys can give you the bare minimum answer. But if it's not their product and it's not specific to what they're doing, what are they going to tell you?
No, totally understand. And I would love to see more AEW presence in these things. I think like our priority packs or the black packs. I think this last year we actually put Canadian wrestlers
Mhm.
in the sets. That was I
I
was
think
just
so,
like, hey, like why don't you throw some in there? Because there are some big names in there. At
Mhm.
the
Sure.
and I think you saw in the black packs at the National, you saw some wrestlers. There were some MJF. I think there was some Britt Baker content for you.
Yeah, I
And
got both of those cards. I got both of those
in
cards.
the
I took care of it.
so now that being said, it was in Chicago, and I think AEW was in Chicago at
Yeah.
the time of the National last year. And could we do more? Yeah, but we also have a spokesman named Michael Jordan, who is kind of a big deal in Chicago.
Yeah.
There was also some rookie at the time, or even playing now, named Connor Bedard, who
Never heard of him.
yeah, never heard of him. Kind of a big deal right now. 30-something points in 20-something games.
Yep.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, but how many body slams has he hit, man? How many leg drops has he done? Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here?
What's his record in
The Continental Classic. Let's go.
pay-per-views?
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some things that, and I think we did have some UDA pieces on the wall for AEW.
Yeah, I have seen that in the past, but the reason I'm bringing up this point is that I think I'm reflecting the feedback that I'm getting. So I'm passing that along. Is that I said, well, there's a little bit of a pecking order. Like right now, a lot of Upper Decks, bread is buttered based on that hockey license, especially if you're talking Expo. We got to lean into the hockey because, like, hey, man, that is the bread and butter over here.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's where a lot of people are into. We can't ignore the hockey here at the expense of anything else. But at the same time, I think there is an opportunity to shoehorn in a little bit more of that AEW stuff, also to kind of cross promote it. It's a chicken or the egg, right? You want to build it from the grassroots. We're almost doing a grassroots campaign here, Billy. We may not have the ability to immediately go on to the big billboard, but that doesn't mean we can't have a little bit. And then those people in turn are your marketing without having to basically pay them. They'll just spread the word on their own, but they got to have the info. That's basically the way it works.
Yeah, and you know what? And I failed to mention this at our CDD conference, and I was excited about wrestling and everything like that. Do you know what you will have like big athletes and stuff like that come in? You know what we actually did for our
That was the one you had a wrestling card. I think I heard that there was the wrestling card.
We had a wrestling event.
Yeah.
We literally had like matches, and Billy Starks was there, and there were a few others.
Yeah. But imagine, Billy, if I did hear about that, and I did see some of it because I want to say the AMG folks actually may have attended and had a chance to kind of partake and see some of that.
Yep.
But imagine, Billy, if instead of knowing it, because I happen to know some folks that have shops that were able to see it, imagine if that had been part of the promotion, in the social media blitz and had gone out there so we could see it.
Well, we try to, we're secretive about that. And we actually, we want it to be special. And so we don't necessarily they never know what's happening. They never know who they're meeting and seeing and everything like that. And they also, they want it to, we don't necessarily put it out there because we don't want the moments and stuff that they saw to all of us. I'll compare it to Comic-Con. You go to Comic-Con and they have a big reveal and people are like, I could go on YouTube in 30 seconds after the big reveal. After Robert Downey Jr. was announced as Dr. Doom, I knew about that 30 seconds after they announced it. I didn't have to go to a press conference and I didn't have to wait in line overnight for multiple nights at Comic-Con, waste my whole Comic-Con experience and be there. Yeah, some people are like really excited. Oh, I got to see Robert Downey Jr. and he was on a stage and blah, 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 blah. I got to see that, but it wasn't special. And so the stuff that we do at the CDD conference, we wanted to maintain special. And that's the reason why you didn't see like a big extravagant, and here are all the AEW wrestlers with our diamond dealers and stuff like that. We didn't do that because we want that moment to be special. We don't want it like out there 30 seconds later and then it wasn't special for the people because everybody else just got to see it. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. I will ask the question though, what was Sky Blue's first autograph card?
Oh, that was the big promotional card, wasn't it? That was the one that was like available at the booth.
She was our guest at the National a few years ago. I think it was like 3 years ago. She was our guest, and we've had we had our dinner one time, and Punk was our guest. So we are trying to get AEW more involved in our national stuff that we do, whether
Yeah.
it be the expo, whether it be, I would love to have a wrestler and it's like, I think we've talked about, I'd love to have a wrestler at the expo one of these days. It's just a matter of, getting them there. But the national has been pretty convenient where we've been able to get talent out there in our CDD conference. So
With our luck, Billy, I'm envisioning right now that you finally say, Carlos, we got somebody for the expo. I'm like, all right. And then it's like, hey, I want you to go. And it's my boy Serpentico. And it's like, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah. We got one of the referees. Like, here you go.
I would still take that selfie. That would still be funny. I would still appreciate the joke. It'd be funny either way. It'd still be hilarious, but it is what it is.
Oh, we would have I would like blow up a big picture and have him sign it for you. If
it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. But I get your general point. The only reason I'm bringing it up is that, like I said, it's fine. You want to leave, some stuff wants to be excluded, but what I'm getting at is that in between releases and everything, you want to be able to kind of keep momentum going, because when a release comes in, there's always going to be a little bit of hype, a little bit of momentum built into it. And hype is not necessarily a bad thing. People being enthusiastic for a new product is not a bad thing, because there'll be like, I'm out there doing my eBay safe searches and all that's the opportunity, because as people are opening stuff up, some of that stuff appears right away. So you kind of want to keep tabs on it. If you can get your hands on it, that's a way that I get some of the tougher cards right away, because I'm waiting for that initial wave of people opening cases and boxes and all that. So that hype is not a bad thing. It's a good thing, but you want to keep a little bit of excitement in between some of those times.
Yeah. And I think that's where EPAC, we need to maybe do a little more with EPAC on that, because we do have our match day moments. We do have our new arrivals, and there's some really cool cards in there. And I think we've improved on that too, where we've been able to add numbered cards into the match day moments. I think you'll see even more content being added in the future. We're always trying to figure out how to make these sets better. So again, it takes time. I already told you the process. So there is that. Now I think we need to get more people. I was going to say do a better job. I think we need to get more people on that platform from a standpoint of getting the excitement going on that, because that does keep them involved. If there's other things for them to buy, whether it be a $6 new arrival card or a $20 or $25 pay-per-view package where they get like 6 cards with a rare chase, that keeps it going for the next big release. But getting people on EPAC can be difficult sometimes. And again, we don't want to necessarily be in competition with the shops. Jason's a very shop oriented president. But it can be confusing. It can be like, wait, I don't get these cards. Like, they're used to going to the shops and buying their cards and getting their cards and having them in their hands physically. And a lot of people like that. A lot of people like I said, I like to get the blasters so I can get the cards, so I can have them, so I can get them signed and stuff. And it takes time. Like, hey, I just bought I bought a new arrival card and I don't get it for 3 or 4 months. That can be frustrating too, because, we need to know how many we need to print. And then it gets placed in order of, we're printing stuff all the time. So then it gets put here and then it's going to get printed at this date. So I can understand the frustration. Although that being said, I see people buying our competitor stuff where it's like, they're not getting their cards for months and months either. So I don't know if that's just the way things are now. It's sometimes hard to get that new stuff into people's hands immediately, but I do think EPAC does offer that little, if you want something now, if you want something immediately, that you can go on there and there's some new content on there on the regular.
Sure. I think part of it, and we've already had this discussion offline, but like, the reality is, I think, and this has been my long-standing critique with the thing, and by the way, the Fanatics is not exempt to this. Panini wasn't exempt to this. It comes down to consistency. I think, regardless of manufacturer, regardless of product, regardless of license, if you as a buyer can feel like there's a consistency, then that covers a lot of ground. That does a lot of big things for us. Using Upper Deck's example though, Like obviously hockey is the big license, but the thing is, here's the thing: almost every week I have a release. You know, whether it's delayed or not, I still get a release almost every week. Like there'll be weeks off, of course, but there's enough product out there where even if this week the one that I wanted maybe is delayed a week or two or a month or whatever it is, I'm still going to get a release this week, and I'm going to get a release probably next week and the week after. Not all the time, but it'll be pretty consistent. There's enough releases out there for something for everybody, different levels at different price points. But when you've got a license where you've only got a handful of products per year, literally a handful, gaps when they're irregular, like there's suddenly a bigger gap or a smaller gap. Oh, now suddenly it's 2 releases back to back, and then you won't get something for 4 months, and then off and on and back and forth. And this has been the case with this license from day one. It's been irregular. It's not like we have a regular cadence where like you're getting these on a consistent basis. And even EPAC, you're getting those releases, but they're not it's not like you're getting them in the months in between. There's an EPAC. No, there could be, or it could wait a couple months, or it could be delayed here. You're getting delays on EPAC too.
Yeah, I can't control or know as much about when and how the EPAC.
You're the great and powerful Oz. It says so in the subheading.
There's another powerful Oz for the EPAC department. So I can't control that. What I can say is we've had meetings literally, and I love these meetings because they're up in they call it the Jordan room, and it's Jordan autographs everywhere, but they have like snacks in there too. So
I was about to say that there had to be a food angle. There was no way there wasn't a food angle.
So if there's a beef jerky or trail mix insert coming out soon, you'll know where I got the idea. And they have the white monsters in there too. So I love going to the Jordan room, and I probably eat too much in there. But we've had meetings specifically where within the past year where we specifically have gone over the calendar and say, okay, we need to, just like you said, straighten this stuff out. And we need a product at this time. We need a product at this time. And we need a product at this time. And we need to get these products out on time. And we need space, like working on, okay, this amount of space. And we're only talking about the physical products. Unfortunately, like I said, we can't figure out EPAC because the EPAC part of it is not under our control. We're not the ones that scan the cards. We're not the ones that, do all the digital stuff. There's a company that deals with all that stuff. So we're kind of reliant on what they do and how they do and when they do. That being said, we can try to control the physical aspect of it. And a lot of people were complaining that SP Game Used actually got delayed. There's a reason it got delayed. It's because the previous product, Metal, was out, and we didn't, like you said, we didn't want to have two on top of each other. So we delayed the SP Game Used because we wanted that gap, like you're talking about, between an even gap between products. So SP Game Used gets delayed. So there's going to be a specific amount of time that SP Signatures is going to come out. We're not going to put that out right on top of SP Game Used. We do 3 products a year. We're actually looking into doing possibly another one. Probably another Black Diamond. Was that your favorite?
I wanted the Serpentico box set is what I wanted.
Yeah, the Master Collection. No,
that's all it is. Just Serpentico.
We're looking to do another product, but what's going to enable us to do another product is interest in it. And now that we're starting to get interest, we're building sets that I think people are happy with, they're interested in. I think that'll allow us to do a 4th set. But we're trying to space it out, and we're trying to time it with stuff like pay-per-views, with stuff like the National, like that sort of thing. I wish we would have had something. I wish we would have had something come out right when the National happened. Unfortunately, just again, the process sometimes takes longer than we anticipate. So completely agree with you. And I'm glad I can tell you that we've been thinking the exact same thing, and we have taken steps to maybe a year from now, we have this conversation and you're going to say, Billy, I don't like to give you compliments at all, ever, but I think you guys have done a better job spacing it out. That's what I hope to hear when we're having conversation a year from now.
I'd be good with that too, because I would find new things to give you a hard time about.
So I will always find something. Carlos imitation right there.
Listen, that you're getting better. You're finally learning. Learning.
I think that was like a combination between you and it sounded a little Obama, Like if I mixed you and Obama together, I think that was my imitation right there. But
I commonly get mistaken for. But what I was going to say was that I think I'll come up with other things to complain about. But I think the key though is that let's get these fundamental basics though. I think really what it comes down to, and I think you'll agree with this, is that one of the things, the cadence, the regular cadence, I think is one of those things that we want to have locked down. I think the design of some of this stuff. I was saying that to kind of Paul when I was having that other conversation. I said what it comes down to is this. I think every flagship is improved. Flagship will never be my favorite product. It just won't. But I can appreciate, and I've told you this on and offline, it's improving every single year. Every single year, I can say truthfully, this is the best iteration of the flagship so far.
Yeah.
It's improved in these categories. And if that's what you're doing, then that's good. That's not a bad thing. And flagship will always be there. That'll be the constant. Having the metal and the allure kind of bouncing off of each other year by year, one off, one on, one off, is not a bad thing because it keeps it from being oversaturated. I'll agree with that point. I think that's a good move. But I think having that one additional product to be kind of a blend in between and then being able to find the mix, having a series of 4, having a quarterly product would be kind of a good, solid ideal. It's one of those things that would be like, and having it hit the cadence consistently, that's going to get a lot of things going forward because everybody they'll know, all right, this is the April release. This is the whatever. There you go.
And like in hockey, everybody knows flagship comes out the end of October, beginning of November every year.
Yeah.
I think you need that in this license also. I think you need to know every year flagship comes out. I like flagship because I collect exclusives and high glosses. Sure. So I'm more of a fan of flagship probably than you are. Mm-hmm. That being said, I'm probably going to spend way too much money on metal this year. I'm so mad. Someone beat me literally by like seconds on buying the Mariah May EX Century. I already have the pink. Someone was selling the green, and it was at a very reasonable price, and I missed out on it. But anyway,
I might have seen that post, and I think I had something in that one or the one before that in the same location.
Yeah,
Book of Faces.
I was a little bummed about that, but anyway, I think I agree with you, and I feel that it needs some stability. And the thing that I'm really excited about is I think we have a team now that feels the same way, that is focused on AEW and wants to see it succeed. And I think they know that it needs that also to be able to succeed. So, before it was like, let's just make a wrestling set. And now that we've seen what we can do, we have people that really care. And I think you've seen it in the improvement in products.
That's a good note. That's a good note there. So we'll start winding her down on this one. And next time we have a conversation, I did threaten it previously, but I'll make sure that we time it right. We'll do one of these. We'll actually do like a little kind of PC showcase back and forth because you got your Tay Mellows and some of your stuff. But I want to also have a little bit of fun with it because I think it'll show, we talk about it, but I think it would be illustrative to also be like, no, he's not just saying he's collecting the stuff. No, he's literally collecting stuff. Here's some of the items just so you can see for yourself kind of how that works. I think though it's helpful though to have the people that are working on it actually like the product as opposed to just being transactional, as opposed to I'll just make a set, here you go, make it like this sort of whatever. It's a little better to have a little bit of an interest built into the product itself.
So what people don't understand or might not know is like we're sitting here talking and about like, hey, I bought this card, I got this card, I'm excited about this one. I literally have, and it's overflowed. Like I need a bigger one. With those 3 column things with top that you put top loaders. I have one completely filled of Ty Mello cards. Like it's full now. I just purchased, and I wanted it to be special. I just got my 100th autograph, and I found a Black Friday special, and I got the signed canvas, the oversized signed canvas piece. Okay. A guy dropped it down to I think about $80, and I'm like, I eye it every time, and it's like it was close at like 150, and I'm like, and some guy decided to throw like a 50% off something, and I sold. Like been waiting to get that card for years, and I picked it up. So very happy about that. That was I wanted the 100th auto to be special, so I kind of held off a little bit, and I was like, well, maybe it's gonna be the game, maybe a nice game used auto, but got the 100th. But that being said, Upper Deck employees cannot sell Upper Deck cards.
That is true. Yeah.
So all these cards I'm talking about that I'm buying, that they're in my collection, and I can't sell them. Like I can trade, like someone has a nice card and I want their card. Like I've done trades online,
Mhm.
whatever. I can't sell these cards. I'm buying these for my PC. I don't know how many times I've bought stuff on Facebook or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, sorry, I can't mail it out till whatever." I go, "Take your time." I go, "It's just going into my PC,"
Mhm.
which is the truth. It goes into my collection. I get excited about it, and I have a decent PC. I think you've got more bigger cards than I do. I have ventured out to get a few big time mellows, like a gold PMG
Mhm.
and a golden treasure auto. But I got a couple green PMGs. But your Britt Baker collection, I think, is second to none. Although that being said, I think I probably do have the biggest time mellow collection. I would put mine up against anyone's.
I think that's fair, but I will say though that I think that's one of the things though about the wrestling cards that I like. That's part of the reason that I enjoyed collecting it is that it's not cheap. I'm not going to pretend that it is,
No.
but I think in relative terms, if we think about hockey, we think about baseball, football, whatever. I collect other sports, other licenses and things. In relative terms, though, you can build a really impressive collection
Oh yeah.
for what
Oh,
is
for
a
sure.
relatively affordable price, which is nice.
Yeah, even compared to our competitor wrestling organization, I
Mhm.
think it's um, fairly inexpensive in a
Mhm.
way to
Mhm.
build a really nice collection, as opposed to hyping. They have their brand is great. They have some great brands, and they
Mhm.
hype specific cards, which are nearly impossible for the regular collector to get on the secondary market.
Mhm.
Um, I think the well branded, uh, highly collectible cards in our sets are still affordable.
Mhm. I think one thing though, and this is unfortunately not something you can do because pricing is dynamic. But the irony is, and maybe this is, like I said, mentioned earlier, this is where the grassroots folks got to do the heavy lifting. There would be somebody like myself or someone in the same vein to do that. Because one of the conversations I had, and I did that when I did the video, the SB game used when I'm doing it, I can show people what the cards look like. I can open a pack, I can open a box and be able to show that. But then I'm able to just directly because I'm not involved in it, unless Upper Deck wants to send me a check. I'll take bribes. But the point is that outside of that, the I can point out that this is how much it cost me for a box of this. If I want to buy, the equivalent WWE version of it, or I want to buy just even a box of Chrome, like here's the price point of Chrome, and here's the price of SP Game Used, so I can buy 2.5 to 3 boxes of SP Game Used currently. It'll change, of course, this prices change, but currently I can get 2.5 to 3 boxes for one Chrome, and I'm going to get some cards in Chrome that might be interesting.
Yeah.
But then I'm getting 3 autographs in that one minimum. In some cases, more. Some boxes have more. I'm getting some memorabilia. The cards look nice. So there is a value proposition there, like comparatively. So in comparison to the first year that we talked about, where the price fell out of whack with maybe what the expectation should have been because the price was higher than what the product was designed to do, SP Game Used, I think, sits in a nice spot. And in US dollars, it actually looks downright reasonable compared to some options available.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because then that leads to a conversation that I know you and I had personally, that I didn't want to interrupt the interview and
Mhm.
just say, oh, by the way, this. When you're
Yeah.
talking about value, our first few years of building AEW sets, we didn't necessarily know what the value of some of these guys would go for. Obviously,
Mhm.
MJF was a big deal, but we
Yeah.
didn't know how much some of the wrestlers might sell for. Like, who would have known Anna Jay sells for more than a wrestler that's been within the organization, or like a highly profiled wrestler. But as a collector, as someone that's constantly on ComC and eBay and on these Facebook groups buying and trading and stuff, I kind of I've been able to really see the value of specific wrestlers and what the prices go for and stuff like that. I want to make really cool cards, but I also want you to get your money's worth. So when creating a loop for SP Game Used, I really focused on value instead of wrestlers. And the example that I gave you is, someone like Sky Blue values out very well. Has been in the organization for a while. Has she won a belt? Did she win a tag belt? They didn't.
No,
No, they're
but
starting
she
to
was in
tag.
contention. I would
Yeah.
say right now where she's situated, just to make her point, I think where she's situated right now is actually, I think she'll be in the mix for the tag team championship with
Oh,
Julia
for
Hart
sure.
and all that. And I think they've positioned that group right now very well. She's grown organically though. It's been nice because they started her off and then they've slowly built her up and now she's in this group. And I think it actually is, they're getting more TV time than ever. So it's one of those things where like it actually helps the profile. Now it's starting to fulfill the promise. But to your
Yeah,
point, she was very popular before that, and this doesn't hurt.
correct. But from a standpoint of like value and stuff like that, and then you have someone like Adam Cope, who's like been with organizations that's been at the top of the game, that's been champions at all these different levels. The Sky Blue card secondary market sells for more than the Copeland. But back in when we first started building these sets, if we were to loop this set, I would imagine that the Copeland would sell for more than the Sky Blue and would consider that a case hit type card, and the Sky Blue to be like maybe a B hit or something like that. After a few years of seeing the value of cards, I can sit there and say, okay, these from a value standpoint are the case hit level cards. I don't care the name of the wrestler, or obviously the name, but I don't care like how long they've been in the organization, if they're champion or whatever. This is the value. So this is your case hit level. Then this is your B hit levels, which are really still good cards, but might not necessarily be that value of the case hit. And then you have your what we call filler and stuff like that. There are people like Mox, Orange Cassidy, Adam Copeland that are in that B level. So one, you're getting like, and there's, I believe, the thing about SP Game Use, it's built at a case hit level. I think it's unbelievable. I know you open some boxes and they're good. They're not great. They're good. And you'll get those great boxes also, because I've seen all those great hit boxes. But this
you already promised me the ones that have the little X on the side of them.
Yeah. This is built at a case level. We build box levels, but we also build case levels. And like you're gonna get like 2 case hit level cards per case in AEW. I built it that way. So it's not just one and done. Like I don't want someone to open up a case and then as soon as they get their big hit, they're like, oh, well, that's the big case hit. No, there's a couple case hit level type cards. Then there's the B hits, and there's a number of those. And then there's the filler. It's what's great about it is people are opening up a case and they're like, oh my gosh, I pulled a Mox and I pulled a MJF and a Julia Hart and I got Copeland and like they're getting so many big names. So not only they're getting their big value cards, but they're getting big names also. That's what I love about wrestling collectors is some people just love their wrestlers and their big name wrestlers, but they might not get a chance at getting them elsewhere because they're just such big names, but they're getting those on the regular along with the value. And then you have your fillers, which even some of the fillers are good hits. So that was done on purpose. And I'm glad that we've been able to kind of adjust the way that we create these cases, because before it's just like you just thought the big wrestlers were the big names, and obviously Britt Baker was just a case hit every time.
At one point she was that, but ironically, and this can be a set conversation for the next time we talk. It's kind of worked out well for me though, because as she's been kind of out of sight out of mind and kind of slipped down the pecking order, because now the women's roster, even just that roster, has gotten so good with potential names, and there's some folks that haven't been even debuted yet on the main sets yet. So like, we talk about Megan Bain. Megan Bain snuck in with one card, but we don't have any Tekla yet. And she's right now very prominently being. So by the next cycle coming soon, probably we'll be starting to see Tekla in the next cycle or a couple of sets coming forward, and she'll be an addition. She'll be another piece of that puzzle to add to that, and that's not a bad thing, because if she's getting TV time, that group is getting TV time. Then now you got 3 people in that group. Well, that's 3 spots on your checklist right there, and they're all being featured, and that's not a bad thing for any of them.
No, I'm excited for the future cards that are coming out, and the future wrestlers that'll get their like first titles, and then it's just adding to it. Like I compared like the cups coming out, and sorry, I'm talking about hockey on this, but the cups coming out in this week.
Yep.
And everyone's excited about Celebrini, but it's like every year you get to add more stars to it. Like now I get to add, like, oh, guess what? You get Celebrini rookies, but there's Bedard autographs in there. And there's still McDavid, and like each year you get the next group of rookies, and then the guys that retire, then you still put them in as legends. And So you get to make it even better and better each year from content
Mhm.
standpoint. And so, like you said, someone like Britt Baker, although I still think I rated her pretty highly because I know there's this guy in Canada that pays a lot of money for all of her cards. So her value definitely goes
Allegedly.
up. Allegedly. No, just kidding. But there's what do you got? Oh yeah, it's a beautiful thing. You know why I'm mad about that image though, right?
What's that? It's just cut
Her
off.
hand's cut
The
off.
hand is cut off at the
Her
top. Yeah,
hand's
yeah.
cut off. Like you took away like the best part of it.
Well,
That's what
listen,
I'm saying.
I
Like,
blame
now
the guy. I blame the Great and Powerful Laws at Upper Deck.
I don't even get to see the images until the cards come out usually. Like I was like,
Look,
oh, that's a pretty cool Julia Hart photo that we used, whatever in the last flagship. I'm like, I like it.
well, look,
I'd
but
hate
you
to see it.
accidentally stumbled onto somebody made a mistake somewhere, and I've shown you this before in 2022 flagship. Britt Baker's card, she's giving the lockjaw to Julia Hart,
Oh, I told you
unofficially
so.
the first Julia Hart card.
I got to tell Julia Hart that herself.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah, and I think it's still the thumbnail for that particular. That was, I think, the first Blood and Guts. It was the first Blood and Guts when they did the show
Mhm.
on the AEW's YouTube channel. If you go look up the first Blood and Guts, I think that's the thumbnail. I think it's the exact same image as that card.
I had to apologize to her because like it took a while. Like you're talking Megan Bain, it took us a while to get Julia Hart cards in there too.
Yep. Mhm.
So, but yeah, like now you get those three girls that you just mentioned, and then you're
Mhm.
also going to add people like you're still going to have Mercedes autos in there. You're still going to have Britt
Sure.
Baker autos in there. You're still going to have, all the top names, and along with what you have. So that's pretty exciting. Like I think it just makes my job a lot easier creating these loops for these products. But I like what AEW has been doing. I really do.
Yeah. And ironically, to your point, though, from what you were talking about, some of these characters are starting to get a little bit of momentum that wasn't necessarily the case when the product first came out. So somebody like
Oh, yeah.
Ricochet, we know that he's good because he was doing his stuff in WWE, he was doing his stuff in other companies, and you knew the talent was there, but nobody ever unlocked any personality out of Ricochet. He was just this guy who could do all this amazing. Well, as this smarmy heel who has a really dumb laugh, he's actually highly entertaining. But he's still a really great wrestler. And then he's got his group with these two gigantic guys. And it's like, actually, these guys are a lot of fun as a group, as a trio. They're a little bit goofy, but they're villainous and a little bit goofy at the same time. But I'm entertained. As a viewer, I'm enjoying Ricochet being this character because he's like, yeah, people hate him and want to watch him get beat up and they call him bald. But the crowd is reacting. They're It's not just his flips. It's not just the fact he can jump from one side of the ring to the other, do all this great stuff. He's also got some personality now. It's actually enhancing the presentation.
I saw an interview that Jericho did about working with Orange Cassidy and how he didn't get it at first. Like he's just like, what is this guy? He just kicks him and what is this? And then he saw the pop and he saw him getting over and he's like, yeah, I want to work with him. Like this guy's gotten the crowd over and is entertaining, but like sometimes people don't get it at first. I don't think AEW got him at first, but I love what he's been doing. Ricochet's been great. Ricochet actually was with Steel City and did a break, and in the break they pulled his autograph in a mem card. I think they did like a case.
But it's stuff like that though so kind of going to my point from earlier in this conversation. It's stuff like that I would like to see more. I shouldn't just be getting it third hand. I would love for that to be more like, from Upper Deck's perspective, lean into that. Hey, it's actually the guy. It's Ricochet actually opening the product and pulling his own card. Great. This is good.
Carlos, you're talking to the guy that went to WrestleCon on his own dime, and luckily Paul was awesome and gave me some boxes and literally had all the wrestlers. Like I waited in every wrestler's line that was AEW and I brought cards for them, like for their own personal collection. Because what I do is when we do case breaks, I always save all the base cards because we either give them away at the pay-per-views, which is great, like when we have our booth, or what I did was I pulled a number of cards from each wrestler and then I gave them to the wrestler and then I had him take, oh, can I get a picture with you with the cards? I didn't like buy a photo or autograph from anyone. I literally waited in the lines, and the AEW wrestlers they'll do anything to market themselves too. They're great.
Yeah.
And they all took pictures with their cards. Toni Storms was the longest line. She was great though. Like at first I was just like, uh-oh. And she's like, of course I will. And does the, poses with it, like all this beautiful stuff. And so just remember, I know what you're saying. I agree with you. I'd love to see as much of that as we can.
Yeah. Listen, you're the great and powerful laws. It's the minimum I expect from you. Like, that's a minimum. That's only a starting point. That gets you in the front door, Billy. That's it. That's all you get for that. Real quick. So let me finish off on this because again, we could talk easily for a while, and there's a lot of angles we can take on this. But let me get you out on this. So first, real quick, for the SP game use again, thumbs up, compliments to the chef. A lot of it I think has been very good. I'm looking forward to opening. I've got another box coming in, and it better have an X on the side of it. And I'm just saying I expect big things. Just the scales need to be tipped correctly for me. That's all I'm getting at. But question: is there anything on the SP game used though? We covered a lot of different things, a lot of the main kind of categories. Anything else? Obviously, other than us looking forward to, I want to see the fork redemption. I want to see this card like in hand somewhere. I want someone to have it. I'd love to pull it, but if I don't, I'd love somebody to pull it. I want to see what this card looks like, executed. I think that'd be fun. But outside of that, is there anything else you're looking forward to? Anything else that excites you about the SP game use we didn't already talk about?
Yeah, I don't think we even really dug into the memorabilia that's used in this set. There's some memorabilia that you've never seen in a trading card, which I'm really excited about, and was done on purpose. I mean, there's pieces of a coffin. There's
Well, I did
pillows.
specifically mention that when we talked about the no disqualification. I did explicitly say
I'm
that,
just
yes.
saying, but we never mentioned the fact that this stuff hasn't been used. The one that
Sure.
I'm really excited about is I like the tag rope. That's never been
Okay,
used
yeah.
in the set. And then it's always like trying to figure out whether we can cut stuff up or not. That's always the first question. Can we cut it? But to get like garbage can lids and ladders in there and tables and turnbuckles and all this sort of stuff, I think the stuff that didn't make the checklist, unfortunately, I think we had broken pieces of glass from a derby match, and the guy that got it was so sad we couldn't use it. He was like, "Wait, can you put plastic over it?" I go, "No, you can't." And that is one thing. That's the only thing I don't like about SP game use is there was a form that we needed to put PETG on top of it, the acetate, because it might have been the no disqualification, just because like you have to test stuff. It could be contaminated. It could be this old. It could be whatever. So we had to put PETG on it, and because of it, there were other cards on the form that we had to put PETG on top of because the whole form had PETG. I would have preferred the matte relics cards, the jumbo matte relics that you could touch the mat. Although it does kind of lead to like, it'd be kind of cool if you sign over it, because I know I have some of those signed matte cards and it's tough to sign. It might be maybe in the future we do like where you sign over the mat, almost like a shadow box card. It was a little bit of a bummer. I had to put PETG over top of some of the stuff, but it is what it is. I think the belt cards look amazing. I kind of, when I say there's designs that I kind of envision and give direction and already have, that was it, one of them. Like I literally kind of drew that out. Like this is how I want it, and our designer did a great job of executing what I had hoped. Because that's the thing is, you could sit there and say I want it to look like this, but you still have to have a designer that can do it, and they did it and they crushed it. It's not the first time they used belt, because Black Diamond, they did that for the first time. But again, it's still, now it's accessible to more people to get belt strap, and it really looks cool the way we did it. And then the manufactured letters, I know some people are like, oh, manufactured letters, these are horrible. But the fact that they're numbered out of 50, and you have like, I'm on eBay.
So let me ask a question. Let me ask a question related to that, since you bring it up. I'm one who's not necessarily big on the letters per se. However, one thing that is helpful to me, that made it work a little bit for me in this case, and I'll give you the follow-up question in a second. I appreciated that the Brit, I think it was just the DMD. So for me, it's just chasing 3 cards. So that makes it a little bit easier. And technically 2 of them are the same letter. So it's a little bit more straightforward and streamlined. Some of the longer names, though, I'd be kind of annoyed. That would actually be kind of a problem. But my question is this. So when they're numbered, are they each independently numbered out of that numbering? So like there's the D, the M, and the D. So in this case, if I get 2 Ds, that would be 2 out of the 50. But is the M also out of 50 in that scenario?
So the Ds, there's actually 100. So there's each D has 50 each.
Oh, so there's like 2. That'll be interesting. Okay.
So
I wonder how you would tell the difference then between the first set of 50 and the second set of 50. Well, I guess if you have 2 identical numbers.
They're card numbering on the back.
Oh, there's separate card numbers. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Which you don't have to show people the back of the cards.
For me, it's just getting the letters. For me, I just wanted to have the 3 sets of letters,
Yeah,
and I figured that was
we
sufficient.
wanted to make it attainable too. Like there's not
Yeah,
full and last name or first
yeah,
and last name or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
It's somewhat attainable.
Mhm,
It's one of those things where some people might hate it. If you
mhm.
hate it, I apologize. I really don't apologize, but if you
You
hate
should
it,
just say I've done worse.
if you
Facts.
hate it, go look at the secondary market. You're going to get value out of it. Some of those
Yeah.
letters are selling for more than a relic card.
Mhm.
We say the same thing about some manufactured patches in Black Diamond. Like if you
Agreed.
hate it,
Yep.
then trade it or sell it because you're going to get value out of it. And
Yep.
I made them out of 50 on purpose because I wanted it attainable for the super fans.
Mhm.
But I still wanted to add value to those cards if you do get one. Because
Mhm.
I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be able to spell mellow for probably under $50. There's just no way.
Mhm.
Like I'm seeing how much they're going for, and I think $20 is the cheapest one. I got 4 letters to chase.
Mhm.
So I might find one auction, it goes for 10 or $15 or whatever.
Mhm.
It's still attainable, but I'm gonna have to spend some money. So if you don't like those, I get it. Not every insert in this set is for everybody, but there are
Mhm.
people just like myself that it's going to try to spell mellow and watch on my Instagram or whatever. I'm going to get a million like, oh, I have this card, have this card. But yeah, so those I'm fine with. The
Mhm.
the acetate on top of the cards I was a little bummed about, but just such unique memorabilia. And again, when you get 1 or 2 things that's new in a trading card set, that's kind of a big deal. I think this set has multiple things that have never been done before, which I'm very proud of and happy about.
Mhm. For sure. And one quick thing, I'll show this one since it'll be incoming here. Obviously, we mentioned already like the Supreme turnbuckles and the tables, for example. So this one here is one of the tables, but it actually has like the chipping on the table. Like you can literally see
Yep.
the indent there. So it kind of shows that the table had a little more activity rather than just being a random sliver. And you've got a big enough piece that you can kind of see stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
love those cards.
yeah.
I'm probably going to try to pick up a couple turnbuckles. And I gave direction to make sure, like, because it has the AEW on it. There are
Mhm.
some all black ones, but I'm looking for ones that have writing on it. But I like those.
Mhm.
I like those cards too, and hopefully they're collected like the Supreme patches in other sports.
I think that's reasonable. So I think from that perspective, I think we've covered a lot of that ground. Is there anything else that we want to quickly hit on before we call this one?
Um, no, like I think it's a great set. Like you said, I think the base set
Mhm.
is still even collectible.
I think so. This one,
We
yeah.
ripped the case, and I think we obviously you don't even with a case you're not even getting half the set.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's the red and the numbered parallel
Mhm.
that you get per box, and those are nice cards. Oh, yes, I do have one thing because it came up in one of the line groups, and I had to explain to somebody. So one
Go
of the
ahead.
things that we do in hockey with the base cards that are numbered, like
Mhm.
the last one of the jersey number is
Mhm.
autographed. So like
Okay.
if you have a Sidney Crosby 87 out of 87, there's a sticker label and there's a COA that comes with it.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted to keep that tradition, but they don't have numbers in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I did was number 25 out of 25 will if we have labels for the wrestler, which we have 90 to 95% of them, we'll have a
Mhm.
sticker label and we'll come with a COA. Someone
Oh,
pulled
okay.
one of those and was just like, what is this? Like it came with a penny sleeve and blah blah blah. I go, that's actually so it's actually like another 101. The last
Mhm.
number of the 25s have an autograph label attached to them with a COA. I forgot to mention that. Uh, and I think that's kind of a cool thing. And I still don't think the Fort card has been pulled yet. So
Not that I've
just
seen.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. So then, so the out of 25 you said is the one. So that's the rainbow out of 25. So the very last card, 25 of 25,
Yes.
where applicable for most of the wrestlers, will have a sticker auto and then have a COA attached to it as well in a penny sleeve, basically.
Yep.
All right, so there's a go. That's a good chase there to include in that. Nice. That's a nice Easter egg, and it's good to mention it because then that way people can kind of keep their eyes open for that one. So for me, technically, I'm shooting. If I can, I'd like to get 2 out of the 25s for specific reasons.
Gotcha.
Yeah, makes sense. So that's good. Actually, that's really helpful to include on it. So that's it. Well, hopefully you folks got some good answers from the great and powerful Oz, Billy Celio. He is real. He does exist. He occasionally comes out from behind the curtain. He hides. But again, if you have bar mitzvahs, local parties, whatever, a block party, anything you want, like he's probably there. Just bring snacks. Bring snacks.
I was gonna say hot dog stand, something with food. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. So that's perfect. So I'll include a link in the description to some of our previous conversations because we've had a few. At the same time, though, you'll check out. I will get, big spoiler. I already talked about it already. I will have at least one more video where I'll open a box and we'll see. We'll see if we get anything fun in that. That'll be my third attempt. I'll probably get a couple more down the road, but right now at the moment, I think 3 will suffice. But I'll give it a shot. Like I said, I pulled a couple of cards in there. I was able to get the Jackson card. Got that on eBay. Got a couple of bucks for that back for one of the boxes, so that's nice. And then some of the other ones will go in there. For me, it's just looking for some PC stuff, some fun stuff for myself. And at the same time, I like seeing the cards in hand. That's my big thing. I like seeing the card. I can look at the mock-up, but until I see it in hand, then I can get more of a grasp for how I really feel about it in terms of actually seeing it myself. And it helps. In some of the cards, it helps a lot to actually see it in hand.
I'm the same way, and I kick myself because I lose a lot of trade bait because I always send this stuff home from ComC, but it's just like I want them in my hands. I want them in my collection. My collection isn't on the computer. My collection's in my house.
Mm-hmm.
My address is no, just kidding.
Yeah, for next time we'll have a conversation. We'll talk a little more of the collection side, and then also we'll start to see. I'll keep my eyes open, and as we get closer to it, we'll also talk about the SP signature because that should be a lot of fun. And right now, at the price point that one's at, that should be a lot of interesting for a lot of folks because obviously, folks that want the autograph, it is, I think, going to be even more reasonable price point. Let's just from the pre-orders alone, it's already a little bit lower. So even in Canadian dollars, it's actually not bad. So that means in American dollars, it should be quite nice to be able to get some autographs on there from a set that's designed for it from the ground up.
Yep. And the best part is if we do talk about collections, I can do it from home with my new internet that I will have.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to bring stuff to work and show you, or it doesn't have to chop out every 5 seconds. I will have internet.
If you guys understood the lore, the backstory of Billy's internet, and the entire time that we have looked at him incredulous. And if you ever want to give Billy a hard time, though, I give him a hard time because it's fun for me. But I want you to consider that it's only until now that he's finally got an internet at home. And if you pay attention to all the food-related inserts, we can only assume they're not feeding him outside of the Jordan room. So the man is starving, and that's all he can think about is food.
12 years. I've been at Upper Deck almost 12 years. January 6th will be 12 years. And I haven't had internet the whole time I've worked there. I use my phone as a hotspot, and I work from there.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It does not work, ever. All right.
I had to do that during COVID, too.
It was heinous. Absolutely heinous. Anyway, all right. So thank you, Billy. Thank you for including some background, and appreciate you going back and forth, and also giving some of the details because I think for some folks it was helpful to get some of the background on there. So always fun chatting with you as always, and Lord knows I will give you a hard time the next time. It will be there, but we have a lot of fun with it. I think it's but you're a good sport about it, and I do appreciate that.
No problem. Glad to be here, and thank you for listeners for listening.
Oh, you'll be shocked. You'll find out. We'll find out. You'll find out we got at least 5. You wait and see. It's gonna blow your mind. Anyway, so that's it. More videos coming up on the channel. You'll get all the links and everything in the description, and we'll have a follow-up conversation on this. We'll do a little bit more focus on the PC collecting side of it because you might kind of have a little bit of fun to see what that Tay Mello Super Collection looks like. You might be kind of impressed. Anyway, that's it for this one. We'll catch you in the next one.